Hi guys, recently I got back from a trip that I did with Tennis Canada. We went to a U12 Tennis Europe events in Italy and Portugal, and this experience inspired me to record this video because in this video we're going to talk about why is it important for a junior tennis player to travel and to basically go outside of their own country or city to train or play tournaments. And we're going to talk about top 5 things why they should do it. And before we get started, I'd like to mention that these points are not in any order of importance because everybody's different. So you guys will decide probably for yourself which point is more relevant for you. But without further ado, let's get started. Now, I'm also going to mention that it's important that a player travels on his own or on her own with a tennis coach. I understand that it's not possible for some of you, so all of these things that I'm going to be mentioning, they will be most beneficial if a player travels with a coach without a parent. But if you're a coach and a parent, or if you're just traveling with your child, they will apply to your case as well. So reason number 1 is because of change of environment, because every time you go somewhere, there's probably going to be a different climate, different surface, different time zone perhaps, and all of these things force a player to adapt. Now, tennis is a sport where if you make it, you're going to be constantly traveling to different places. The surfaces are going to be different. The weather is going to be different. Everything's going to be different. Humidity, like for example, we were playing in Italy, where in the same tournament we actually played indoor clay, indoor hard, and outdoor hard. Now, talking about adjustment, or you might go to a place with a high altitude where the balls are just going to be flying so hard. So you have to adjust for that. Not only it's good for overall development as a person, because you're always exposed to the same routine, and it can get boring and can get very repetitive. And when you're traveling, you're actually you're forced to adapt to new environment. Kids are actually adapting to everything new very fast. There's actually an interesting fact that kids are the most suitable to survive in jungle because they are adapting to new environments faster than any other age group. So that's why it's important to throw them into these environments as young as possible, and because that's going to make them a better player and a better person. Reason number 2 is, it's kind of obvious, but you're going to be playing new opponents that you don't normally play back in your city or country or province or territory. So while that is kind of obvious, but also certain countries have certain way of play. Like, I'm gonna give you a very obvious example. For example, players from warmer countries where they play on clay predominantly, they will be more consistent, they will be more grindy, so your player have to adjust to play against them. And players on hard tend to be a little bit more aggressive. So again, that's a different game style. Plus, in general, like, you'll see players with technique and the things the way they play, it's just gonna be mind-blowing, because it both will look awkward, but also they will be able to put the ball in the court. So you might not used to that, your eye might not get used to that, but like, you still have to beat them. You still have to figure out the way how to beat that player, even though that player looks weird or funny, or like they those guys still, or girls, play great tennis, and they put the ball in the court, it comes back. So you have to be able to kind of fight that feeling of being uncomfortable playing somebody you never knew. So there is no intel, especially if you start traveling on a certain tour, whether it's like Tennis Europe, ITFs, different grades. You don't know these players. They're just just a guy from Poland, or a guy from India, or a guy from like other countries. So there is no intel. You have to just go out there and figure it out while you're playing a match, which is a hard thing to do, but that's what actually tennis is. And you cannot buy that experience. You cannot get it from anywhere else but from actually going out there and playing in a different country, in different environment. Now, from social standpoint of view, you get to meet new people, and then you get to make new friends. Some of these friends will stay for life because tennis is such a, you know, like small circle of people, and you never know when these connections might come handy. You don't never know, you know, like where you're gonna meet these people after tennis, if you choose not to play tennis later after college. But even, you know, like if you stay active in tennis, if you go to England and you all of a sudden you have somebody that you know in England, you can just set up a match play in London. You know, that's what pros are doing. That's what every junior tennis player is doing. If they travel abroad, if they know somebody, they try to arrange practices ahead of time. So socially also, I think it's very important that you get to interact. Well, your child gets to interact with other kids from different countries and different languages. You know, like it's funny because when we travel and like our Canadian kids, let's say like from that last trip, they have kids from Italy speaking Italian. They use Google Translator or trying to find, you know, some ways to explain things they want to say. And that's just fantastic. Again, you cannot buy that experience anywhere at home. All right, guys. So number 3 is adversity. And I briefly already mentioned some of it in my other points that I described earlier. But adversity is, to me, it's one of the most important reasons to travel and to expose your child, your tennis player, to traveling alone, to going out there, to leaving their comfort zone. Essentially, that's what it is, because you're gonna run into difficulties while traveling. It's an essential part of it. You cannot travel and where everything goes just smoothly. Like, for example, on our last trip, our luggage got lost. So for a few days, we didn't have our clothes. Some kids didn't have their shoes. Some of them didn't have like stringing and stuff like this. So guess what the lesson is for them is not to pack everything in their check-in luggage. So you have to always have a spare clothes, a spare tennis shoes, a spare tennis socks in your check-in luggage. So that's kind of the lesson there. And there is a ton of things like this, but let's say the luggage doesn't arrive and the tournament starts. What are you going to do? Let's say, you know, your racket gets broken while traveling. Let's say, and, you know, like you arrive to the tournament and the only food that's around is the one that you're allergic to. So what are you going to do then? So this presents with a ton of opportunities, you know, because that's how you should look at it. It's opportunities for you to get better, to get more flexible, and to adapt, because again, tennis is a sport where you travel a lot and you will be running into things like this. And if your child gets used to adapting, then it becomes norm, you know. So it doesn't become something like, oh my god, like it's a stress situation. All of a sudden it becomes like, oh, all right, I just have to figure this out, no worries, I've done this before. And the earlier we do this, the faster and better they will become at this. So that's why it's very important. Now, reason number 4, guys, is that traveling alone or traveling period speeds up maturity. For the reasons I explained in my previous point, adversity, because you will be completely alone. And even if you're there with the parent should be encouraging certain things for the player to do on their own, like, for example, booking courts, getting tennis balls, arranging your hits, obviously doing your laundry, staying current with your homework, and little things like this, because what it's gonna be doing is will teach kids how to behave themselves on the road. Again, it's going to expose them to this reality earlier, so then when later they're going to be traveling more and they're going to be traveling to more serious tournaments, they will have this sense of responsibility to do all these things, and they will just be more flexible to do so. And also, I think this is paramount as well. What they will learn on the road, they will actually be bringing back home. I remember when I was traveling, it was just like a short trip to Montreal, and I traveled with the 4 boys, and we were staying in a house close to the tennis center. And one morning I just decided to do a group breakfast. So I taught them how to make like a very simple, like milk, cereal, and fruits type of breakfast. So what happened when we got back, one of the parents told me that Alex, that was the kid, he said he made a Bogdan breakfast. So I was like, wow, unbelievable. So that was the first discovery for me that it's so important to do these other things that will just make them, again, more mature, better people, and as a result, obviously and always, better tennis players. Number 5, again, very important point is that it puts things in perspective. And what I mean by that, you never know what these travel experiences will do to your kid in terms of how it will change their mind. What I mean by that, for example, if you're traveling, let's say, from a less developed country to a more developed country, and the kid is like, oh my God, this is so cool, they have this, they have that. It triggers maybe some sort of motivation for them. So when they come back, they all of a sudden want to live maybe in a different country. Maybe they want to improve their like their future situation, so they're extra motivated. Maybe you're traveling from a more developed country to a less developed country, so you're all of a sudden appreciating things you have, and you never realized how lucky you were in the first place. And it's so important, as I see with Canadian and American kids, to when we go to to various countries, to especially when you go to pick up first points in ITF, you usually go to Central America or to to other countries. So it's very, very important to give these opportunities, because it will change their perspective on the world, because they live in a way in a bubble. They're exposed to only what they have around them. So yes, they have TV and internet and everything, but seeing these little things with their own eyes will change everything. Another thing is that no matter who your child travels with, whether it's you as a parent, whether it's you as a coach, or a brother, brother coach, parent coach, no matter who they travel with, it will create more respect, and it will bond you guys more together, because you will be going, again, as I was saying earlier, you will be going through difficulties together, and it always bonds people. And also it will create more respect if everything is done correct, of course, because when you go and travel to these tournaments, because there's some things you work at home, right? You work on your cross courts, you work on moving your opponent, you work on your quality ball and stuff like this. So exposing weakness of your opponents, whatever you work on, guys. Maybe it's fitness, doesn't matter. So when you go out there, actually, it presents a great opportunity to, when, let's say, a person loses or wins, it doesn't really matter. It presents a great opportunity to bring the message home that, okay, so it's the stuff we work at home. If he's winning, it's working, let's keep going. So it creates again this extra motivation and reassurance with the player that, okay, I'm on the right track, let's just keep up the good work back home. That's great. If he's not or she's not winning, again, it creates a fantastic opportunity to really say, okay, you know what? you know, the things that we're working on, we really have to step up, because we're lacking, like you saw in that match, when you tried to go to the backhand, you didn't have enough angle, or whatever the teaching point is there. But it creates a great opportunity to teach, and the message will be absorbed way better because it comes in a different environment. It's not the same routine that you guys are going through. So that's why I believe it's really beneficial. So guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, and if it was beneficial, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I know it's been a while since I released my last video, but I will be uploading them with a little more frequency. So stay tuned for more, and I'll see you guys later.